If you guys are unaware, there is a conversation happening right now about CD Projekt Red's CEO, who decided to make a statement about SBI. Okay. And the statement, everybody's making fun of it because nobody believes it. Okay. Let's bring it up right now. Shout out to Smash JT for these screenshots. Appreciate you, man. So this is from Michael or Mikael, however you want to say his name. Nowakowski, some shit. I have no idea. So he says The Witcher 3 turns 10 this May. Around 100 of its developers are working with us to this day on our new projects, including The Witcher 4. Some are actually veterans from The Witcher 2 and The Witcher 1, including my esteemed co-CEO, Adam Badowski, who has been with the series since its inception back in 2002. Now, a lot of people were calling this out and making fun of it because, quite frankly, it seems like they're trying to do damage control, because everybody was talking about how CD Projekt Red has lost a lot of employees, and CD Projekt Red's employees have spawned 2 other studios that have absolutely nothing to do with CD Projekt Red, but they spawned 2 other studios because they didn't like the way things were ran at CD Projekt Red. Now, with that being said, it seems like they're trying to do damage control with that. And then if you look at this tweet right here, Mikael, I'm going to call him Mikael just because it's hilarious, says, "We are not working and never worked with Sweet Baby. Never even heard of them until recently, to be honest. Also, we have not lost prime meat, as you put it." Well, I would beg to differ, considering that there's 2 other studios with veteran employees from CD Projekt Red that have spawned from from your company. I would say that you lost prime meat from your company. So if we look here really quick, where is it at? In a Twitter exchange, Endymion raised legitimate concerns about CD Projekt Red and Funcom struggles, citing insider sources and potential systemic issues in the gaming industry. CD Projekt Red CEO Mikael responded dismissively, calling Endymion's claims nonsense and denying DEI hiring practices. So Smash is going basically down the rabbit hole of everything that's been happening with CD Projekt Red. But what I want to do is, now that you have the context over what was said, I want to showcase to you the lies of the CEO saying that he has no idea what Sweet Baby Inc. is. Let's be real, okay? Number one, the CEO responded to Endymion, right? When Endymion made that video about the CD Projekt Red leaks, he responded to Endymion's video and post on X. Endymion, in those videos, and in every video he does, basically, talks about consultancy firms and SBI as well, right? So there's no way that you watch Endymion's content and you never heard of SBI. That's just like impossible. It's impossible at this point. And number 2, obviously by him responding to the video, he clearly watched it, which gives even more evidence to what I just said. But here's what most people don't seem to remember or don't seem to understand. CD Projekt Red hired an employee who has experience with SBI in a multitude of different ways. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Hold on. So there you go. So this employee, her name is Mary Kenny. Okay, a few months ago, we talked about how she left Insomniac Games. She was working on Wolverine. Let me just look it up really quick. She was working on Wolverine as a narrative director. All right, so she was pretty high up in Insomniac Games. She was a narrative director. She then left for CD Projekt Red. If you guys want to see when it happened back in July. Here, look, really quick. July 9th of 2024, Wolverine PS5 narrative lead leaves Insomniac for CD Projekt Red. All right, so this is old news. We've known about this for a while, but the truth of the matter is that YouTube, there's constantly new people finding us every single day that don't know this information. So I'm going down this rabbit hole of context so that you guys understand what's happening here. But she left Insomniac Games for a similar position over at CD Projekt Red. Now, this person, okay, just so you get some more context, and this is where we're going to dive down the rabbit hole. This person back in March of 2024, which, by the way, is around the same time that Alyssa Mercante released her article. It was a couple of weeks after. But this person back in March wrote a 12-page thread defending Sweet Baby Inc. and notifying everybody that she had worked with Sweet Baby Inc. Not in the sense of she's an employee with them, but in the sense of she worked side by side with them because she's in narrative development for Insomniac Games. And obviously, they hired Sweet Baby Inc. to work on Wolverine. Wolverine is a Sweet Baby Inc. game, just like the Spider-Man games are Sweet Baby Inc. games. So, well, Spider-Man 2 anyway. So, now we have all this context, right? Now let's dive down this 12-page rabbit hole so you can see exactly the kind of person that CD Projekt Red CEO apparently doesn't realize had worked with SBI at any given time. Which, again, I don't believe you, because if you are hiring someone like this, and surely there must be somebody at the company that asked this woman about her experience. And I'm sure at some point you must have known that she worked with SBI. But anyway, that's besides the point. So here's what she said back in March 6th of 2024. She said, some of you don't seem to understand how narrative consulting on games works. But don't worry, I do. Immediately with the condescending tone that every single one of these liberal women have. Obviously, you know, they think they're the smartest creatures in the fucking world. And they're going to talk down to you as if you don't know anything. She says, yes, this is about Sweet Baby, because I've worked with that team, and they're one of the finest in the business. Okay. Sounds very similar to what Alyssa Mercante did. If you read this post here, it says, if you'd rather listen than read, this video is perfect and right and smart. And she links somebody with a black anime profile picture for reasons I'm not even going to bother. Oh, this is 8-Bit Closed Fist. Oh, this is the dude that can't afford a microphone stand. Got it. Am I right about that? Let's see. Yeah, this is the dude who uses a CD in order to hold his microphone. Because if he holds a CD, then that means he's really a gamer. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. Okay, I'm not surprised they all run together, right? Not surprised. So she says it starts with this. A dev team has an idea. Maybe they already have an outline of their story and a core gameplay loop. Maybe they've got a whole script and a playable build. Either way, something is missing. Yeah, that's something that's missing is to make sure that you get everything culturally wrong. That's what that something is missing. To make sure that if you want to be culturally sensitive, that you put the wrong flag to represent the wrong country or the wrong place. You know what I mean? That's what it is. So in the case of Spider-Man, you know, if you got a Puerto Rican character, let's make sure we put a Cuban flag in there, because that's clearly what's missing. Anyway, could be any number of things. A character feels underbaked. Yeah, you get keyword underbaked, right? So the underbaked characters are probably the white characters, and you got to bake them really well in order to get them nice and blacked out. That's basically it. Maybe a whole faction. The backstory of a map was weak sauce or has weak sauce world building, and no one on the team has time to do the research and brainstorming to make it cool. So if nobody on the team has time to do the research or the brainstorming to make their game cool, then why the fuck are they working on their game? Can anybody answer that question? Right? Like if you can't have the time to research and brainstorm for your project, why are you hiring other people to do your project? Isn't that a little bit stupid? It's like, that doesn't make any sense. You clearly should have enough time to work on your project. Or if you don't have enough time, then perhaps you are understaffed, and it's a whole nother issue. That's a whole nother problem. I guess they would rather pay Sweet Baby Inc. one time versus paying, 50 more employees for another couple of years. That's probably what it is. But anyway, Mary Kenny says, maybe the dev team has gotten a ton of notes from publishers and executives on things that aren't working in the game. Maybe the notes are all internal and the team knows something is wrong, but not how to identify or fix it. This sounds like a lot of bullshit to justify the hiring of a consultancy firm. This is a lot of maybes, right? This is a lot of like, oh, maybe this, maybe that. You know what's amazing to me? This is supposed to be somebody who is supposed to be talking from fact. This is supposed to be somebody who is supposed to be talking from some level of intelligence on the issue. And all of it is like, well, maybe this happens. Well, maybe that happens. Maybe that happens. Maybe this happens. It's like, this is a lot of like what ifs. Anyway, maybe the notes are all internal. The team knows something is wrong, but not how to identify or fix it. You said this like 3 times now. You said something is missing. You said something is not working. You said they don't know how to identify or fix it. Are they just fucking incompetent? Is that what it is? Is the people working on Wolverine incompetent? Probably. Let's be honest with you. Then she says, whenever you are in development and wherever the notes are coming from, the problem is the same. Something's wrong, and the team can't figure out how to fix it. That's when you call Sweet Baby Inc. Now it's getting good. Now it's getting good, boys. So when something is wrong, when you can't figure out how to do your job, you want to call somebody else to ruin your game for you. It's incredible how the people that are developing the game, the people who came up with the idea for the game, the people who came up with the idea for the story of the game, the people who came up with the idea of the gameplay loop, and the people who came up with the idea for the characters, for some odd reason, don't know how to do their game. So you mean to tell me that you got to hire someone else who didn't think of any of those things in order to be able to help you finish your game? When you came up with all the original ideas, but then for some odd reason, you just can't put them together? Just seems a little bit odd to me. Anyway, this next part is key. Oh, okay, listen closely. Listen closely. Because some of you seem really confused. Narrative consultants do not get final say, and they don't override the core dev team and leads. It doesn't get into the game if we don't approve it. Well, here's the thing. Number one, we never said that that was true. And number two, we already knew that you were going to approve it anyway. If you're calling Sweet Baby Inc., you're not calling them to not be able to do something, right? This is a narrative that they were trying to spin at the beginning. They try to pretend like, oh, Sweet Baby Inc.'s a small company. They don't do anything. Sweet Baby Inc. has no power. Sweet Baby Inc. has no say. But we seem to all be calling them, even though this company has no power and has no say. So if this company does nothing and has no power and has no say, then why do you keep hiring them? What is the purpose? What is the point? They clearly do something. They clearly have the ability and the power to do something, right? So what are we doing? What are we doing? Anyway, so again, nobody said that they get the final say. That was obvious, I think, for anybody with a brain. But at the end of the day, if you're calling them, then what they say is most likely going to go anyway. That's just the truth of it. Because we've seen their influence with all their games, because you could take all the SBI games and look at the main characters, and you're going to see they all look pretty damn similar for the most part. Anyway, she says they consult. They do research. Do they really do research? Did they research the flag that was put into Spider-Man 2? Do they really do research at the end of the day? They pitch ideas, they give feedback, and maybe even write scripts. But none of that gets into the game unless the core dev team agrees with it. I'm going to keep saying that because it's key. Oh, so you're running damage control. You're running damage control. That's interesting. Sweet Baby is not, nor is any consulting group coming into wreck games. They're helping smooth out plots and deepen characters. They ease the burden on the core narrative team. They're additive in every way. Yeah, they're really here to deepen characters. I'm sure Black Girl Gamers really deepened the female lead in Forspoken. They deepened her so much that people couldn't fucking stand her. They deepened her so much that they went a little bit too realistic. They made her an insufferable bitch that nobody could fucking stand listening to. You might have went a little bit too accurate on that point. But yeah, I see what you guys are saying in the chat. This is maximum level of cope. But we reported on this ages ago. But again, I'm going down this rabbit hole because I want to remind people, who are we dealing with? So when the CEO over at CD Projekt Red says, hey, we've never heard of Sweet Baby Inc., shut the fuck up. You are clearly lying, bro. You are clearly lying. You hired this psychopath, and you have other psychopaths working for you. You are full of shit. Anyway, then she says, and if the dev team disagrees with them on something, the dev team doesn't take the note. It really is that simple. Yeah, you wish it was that simple. Because if you don't do what they say, they're going to terrify your marketing team, right? Well, actually, maybe not, because they already got their money since you hired them. My mistake. I'm wrong. Let me take that back, what I said. They're only going to terrify your marketing team if you didn't hire them in the first place. But since you guys keep hiring them because you feel like you're forced to, yeah, they're not going to terrify your marketing team. They're just going to take your money. Whether your game does well or not, they don't care. Pay them what they want, and that's it. They get their money no matter what. Your game doesn't have to succeed for them to get their money. That's the beautiful thing. So you're out here barely making any money while they're just taking all the money. It's a great grift, I'm telling you. So then she says, so no, Sweet Baby Inc. did not kill your game. Of course, they had nothing to do with the layoffs. Duh. I love this shit, man. I love this shit because this is just proof that no matter what, the people who are all for this kind of ideology, they are willing to sacrifice everything for it. They are willing for their ideology to be the death of everything that they hold dear, whether it's their jobs or whatever. They're just all for it. They're all for it. So if everybody else loses their jobs around them, it doesn't matter. Sweet Baby Ig didn't do it. We didn't do it. It's just, times are hard. Nobody's buying games. Really? That's the excuse you're going to do. That's the level of cope that you have, that you're going to try to convince people that nobody's buying video games right now. That's incredible, because that's the excuse they do tell people. They say, oh, the industry is hard right now. People aren't buying games like they used to. Are you fucking kidding me? Why don't you go tell that to Game Science? Why don't you go tell that to fucking Saber Interactive? Why don't you go tell that to Shift Up? I mean, hell, why don't you go tell that to any of these fucking developers, even AA developers? Even Helldivers 2 got a ton of sales. What do you mean? Gamers aren't buying games that they don't want to buy anymore because, quite frankly, there's so much information out there that is readily available thanks to a bunch of YouTubers that are doing it, that now people can make educated decisions on whether or not they want to purchase a product or not. And also, on top of that, people can see pattern recognition on their own. They don't need me to tell nobody. I don't need to tell nobody nothing. You guys already know I don't tell people to skip out on games or not. I tell you to make your own fucking mind up. I'll present you with the information, and you can decide from there whether or not you want to buy the game or not. And if it's a woke-ass video game and you want somebody to stream it so they can figure out whether it's for you, I'll do it. Other YouTubers would do it. Vera Dark does it all the time. Because we need transparency in gaming. We need more transparency. And the gaming industry is constantly trying to hide shit. They're constantly trying to make up lies and hide stuff within these video games. And they're trying to rely on the bait and switch model. So you know who ruins bait and switch models? YouTubers. YouTubers ruin that model. Streamers ruin that model. Because when they play the game, buy the game, and stream the game, thousands of people can watch the game and figure out whether or not it's for them, instead of having to buy the game and then run the risk of not being able to refund it, which happens all the time. But it allows us to get to that point where we can help people make good decisions based on whether or not they want to support it, based on what they see. So anyway, so then she says they gave notes, pitches, advice, and research. The studio made the final call on what went into the game. I like how you guys are gaslighting, bro. They're gaslighting. They're gaslighting because they're trying to say, well, the studio made the final decision on what went into the game. It doesn't matter. If 90% of those final decisions were pitched by SBI, just because you put them into the game doesn't mean that it wasn't their idea. So you're trying to make it seem like, oh, it was the studio's idea because we made it, we put it into the game. We're the ones who put it in. Yeah, and who came up with it? Who came up with the idea to do X, Y, Z? Who came up with it? That's the conversation that you guys are trying to avoid. You guys don't want to have that conversation. You're just trying to pass all blame and say, oh, we did it. I respect it. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that still came up with the idea. Just because you put it in the game doesn't mean that they're suddenly not absolved from coming up with the idea. And they're the ones that are trying to convince everybody that they don't come up with these ideas. They're trying to say that you're the ones that come up with the ideas and they just flesh it out. But what you're saying is contradictory to what they're saying. They're saying you come up with it. You're saying they come up with it and then you approve it or not. So which one is it? Is it them coming up with the idea or is it you? Let's just admit the fucking truth. It's both of you dumb motherfuckers. It's both of you. It's the developers and it's the consultancy firms. This is why you guys are willing to die together. Which, to be fair, a lot of you are. A lot of the studios are dying together with the consultancy firms. Right? Unfortunately, though, Sweet Baby Inc. is getting all the money because, quite frankly, they have one of the best grifts in the game. They have convinced the Western gaming industry that they are required reading. They are required reading, meaning that you have to hire them. Otherwise, or else. You know what I mean? So if you have to hire them, then they're going to have jobs no matter what, because most studios are going to budget for consultants anyway. So they're going to hire some form of consultants, whoever gives them the best deal. But you guys are required reading in the Western industry at this point, because if not, then guess what? You're going to terrorize the marketing firms. You're going to terrorize the companies and you're going to make them realize that you are necessary. And again, that's not my words. That's yours. You decided to say that. I didn't say that. So then she says, if you have beef, it's with us. Keep it with us. No, we're giving it to all of you. Because even though you say keep it with us, when we give you beef, what do you say? What do you say? Harassment. Harassment. That's what you say. So you're saying to keep the beef with you, but you guys can't handle the beef. It's incredible. And then what do? You get your shills to cover for you. The shills go running after you like, leave the big corporation alone. Leave the corporation alone, the multi-billion-dollar corporation. Leave them alone. And then when you look at the shills, they look like this. It's insane. It's insane. They got Big Daddy Corpo's dick so far down their throat, they can't even speak half the time. It's insane. So then she says, I'm so lucky to have worked with that team. I hope to do so again. I hope asshats don't drive out some of the most talented, passionate people that we've got. Well, guess what? You lost 15,000 plus developers last year. 15,000 plus developers last year. So the entire gaming community essentially told you the following.
Pokemon, I think everyone would say,
shut the fuck up. You're a fucking cunt.
Basically. That's the best way that I can translate that, right? So then anyway, so this is basically it. She's, this ended up being absolute destruction, number one, because remember, this was at the beginning of 2024, and we saw what happened by the end of 2024. Right? We saw what happened by the end of 2024. The absolute destruction of the mainstream gaming industry, where the AAA industry lost over 15,000 developers, where there was a multitude of studio closures, Firewalk Studios probably being one of the most famous ones, Concord being one of the most, I guess, famous failures. We saw what happened. So I love to see how it started and how it ended. You know what I mean? So now we're in 2025. Oh, and look at this. Mary Kenny. Oh, hey, more facts. And if you don't want to listen to me, and then she fucking quote tweets Alyssa Mercante with her article of Sweet Baby Inc. Look. I spoke to the team at Sweet Baby and infiltrated the Discord group, rallying against them to try to paint a clearer picture of what the fuck is going on. And she did it March 6th. So don't you guys find it interesting how all of these mainstream people decided to speak out against, or I should say speak out in defense of Sweet Baby Inc. all on the same day? They all did it on March 6th of 2024. Don't you guys find that to be very interesting? She says, I have so many replies to this thread that Twitter is literally not showing them all to me anymore. If I didn't respond to you, it's either A, I already addressed your point somewhere else because you all use the same 3 talking points, or B, I didn't see it. This woman genuinely believes that she is the most intelligent person in the world. She's got 22,000 followers. 22,000 followers on X. 22,000 followers on X. And look, now what she's doing is she's retweeting all of the SBI stuff that is old, right? In all actuality, it looks like she's completely abandoned X. She hasn't made a post since 2024, it seems like. So she's probably over on Blue Sky. Most likely. She's probably on Blue Sky. Which is, again, it's hilarious. They've all abandoned it. So let's go now, really quick. Let's go to Smash AT's website. Shout out to Smash GT. Again, calling out the CEO. This is the CEO of CD Projekt Red. And again, now that you know all the information, we've went over everything, right? We went over the entire history. We went over what they said, what they didn't say. Now that you know that, do you genuinely believe that this guy does not know about Sweet Baby Inc.? Do you genuinely believe that he has never heard of Sweet Baby Inc.? Seriously? Because I don't believe it in the slightest, right? And this is also a company. This is the CEO of a company that focuses on DEI tremendously. It is literally on their website. he has more about DEI on his website than Sweet Baby Inc. has on their website. Now, to be fair, Sweet Baby Inc. remodeled their website and took that all off. But still, at the beginning, they obviously focused on diversity, equity, inclusion, and all that other nonsense. So now if you look here, we get a little bit of a timeline, okay, where it says it all began with Philip Weber, the narrative director at CD Projekt Red for The Witcher 4 and a former quest designer on Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077. He took to X to share some insights on the studio's preparations for its next major title, which again, he goes through all of it, and that's when the CEO responds and talks about having 100 developers still with them, which again sounds like hope. However, not everybody was out there buying their attempt at creating a narrative. Bucket challenged them, stating the following: I love how they keep pushing the word that they still have staff who worked on the previous Witcher titles, like we don't know they lost the prime meat from the bone. They also don't want to openly tell you about those Sweet Baby Inc. employees working for them now. In response, he doubled down, saying, we are not working and never worked with Sweet Baby Inc. Never even heard of them until recently, to be honest. Bullshit. Bullshit. Also, we have not lost prime meat, as you put it. You have. You 100% have. And again, he's coping hard. This is the same guy that tried to lie to you and said that they haven't lost many employees. Meanwhile, there was 2 entire gaming studios spawned from their employees leaving in Exodus. So who are we going to believe here? The CEO is clearly lying, right? Anyway, this back and forth exchange highlights the growing skepticism in the community surrounding CD Projekt Red CEO's claims of continuity and raises some serious questions about the studio's internal dynamics and especially transparency when it comes to Sweet Baby Inc. Yellow Flash replied with what many were thinking. He says, why does your lore designer hate and want to punch gamers? You don't work with Sweet Baby, but you sure do hire some questionable people. Now, if you guys are unaware, the lore designer, he's not mentioning Mary Kenny. He's mentioning another guy. I think he's in this article. Let's see. Yeah, this fucking creature right here. We made a video on this guy too, in case you guys don't remember. But this is the guy, CN Maher, that used to work for The Gamer. This guy went from journalist to lore designer at CD Projekt Red. How the fuck did CD Projekt Red hire someone that was a journalist? How is a journalist going to be able to be a lore designer for CD Projekt Red? Unless this guy was studying something, has some sort of degree. I don't really know. But how do you go from journalist to lore designer at one of the biggest franchises in gaming? I think that's absolutely insane. I think you clearly don't have the same level of respect for your requirements to work there as, let's say, Valve does. Right? It's very clear that diversity, equity, and inclusion is at the forefront of your hiring practices. And it's not experience. It's not skill level. It's not any of that stuff. But anyway, that's besides the point. So then, again, as a reminder, before we get to the next topic, CD Projekt Red's marketing push tries their best to emphasize the continuity of its development team, while in reality, downplaying significant staff departures over the past few years, which, again, we've seen many people leave this company, and many companies were spawned from the death of CD Projekt Red employees. And it's very, very clear that they don't have an ability to maintain talent unless that talent is ideologically driven, right? So let's remind everybody of the CEO's initial comment, and then we're going to end it here. So he said before, when he quote tweeted Endymion, and this is what started the whole nonsense, right? Oh, you're welcome, Galactic. You're welcome. Mikhail says, seems we live in times where anyone can record complete nonsense and make a story out of it. CD Projekt Red talent leaving? We have the lowest rotation of people in recent years. That doesn't mean that people aren't leaving. You see what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that people aren't leaving. This is what you call politics speak. This is political speak, PR speak, whatever you want to call it. So somebody makes a statement that says, hey, you have talent leaving, or you have talent that has left. And your response is, well, that's not true. We have the lowest rotation of people in years. That doesn't mean that people haven't left. So Endymion was right. Endymion was right the entire time. Just because people left less than back a couple of years ago, it doesn't mean that people haven't been leaving. Anyway, then he says DEI-driven recruitment, we hire based on merit and talent alone, just as we make games driven by artistic vision alone. That's not true, because you have a literal DEI section on your website is dedicated to all that nonsense that disproves everything that you're saying right now. So that's lie number 2. And then he says, why do we choose Unreal Engine? Because it enables us to work on our games more efficiently, and we remain cutting edge tech-wise. I mean, at this point, like I said before, when I covered this, I don't care. Use whatever engine you want. Unreal Engine has been known to have issues, but it seems like everybody's going to Unreal Engine now at this point. So use whatever engine you want. Just make the game good. Don't fucking make it buggy. Then he says The Witcher 3's director left. Well, yeah, more than 2 years ago. Now we can stop looking for conspiracy theories and go back to making cool stuff. No, because it's not a conspiracy theory. Everything that you mentioned that you thought you debunked, you didn't debunk. You didn't debunk anything. And Demian was right about everything that he said. And so now I'm going to take your tweet and I'm going to reverse it. And I'm going to say that it seems like we live in a time where anyone could go on X and make complete and utter nonsense and make a story out of it. Because you clearly lied in every part of your tweet. And yet, for some reason, you're going to call Endymion the conspiracy theorist. Nah, bro, that is absolute nonsense. So, again, look, this is a screenshot. Stop lying. Everyone sees through it. This is a screenshot of their website of a literal tab dedicated to diversity and inclusion. So how exactly is Endymion lying about this again? Like, come on, bro. Like, are we dumb? Like, could you not have taken it off your website before you made a dumbass statement like that first? It's crazy. So anyway, at the end of the day, man, CD Projekt Red, like I said, man, this is totally separate from Witcher 4. All I'm saying is, as a studio, they have been caught lying through their teeth. As a studio, they have employed some very questionable people lately. And as a studio, they are making some really bad decisions. Whether or not this is going to lead to a good game or not, time is going to tell, right? Time is going to tell. But as of right now, the patterns are speaking very loudly. And I think it would be insulting to insinuate that people should ignore said patterns and not look at the upcoming projects with at least not a raised eyebrow, because it's very clear that the patterns are loud and they're everywhere, right? Between the employees, between the actions of the company, the CEO, they're everywhere. So pay attention to the patterns and keep them at an arm's length at this point. Otherwise, you might get yourself fucked at this point. So, all right, guys, let's catch up on Super Chats and we're going to get to the next topic. But at this point, man, fuck CD Projekt Red. They're